Okay, we're at Fully Charged here in Austin, Texas, and I'm talking to one of my favorite guys who was on my list to talk to, Galileo from HyperChangeTV, a guy who basically does a lot of analysis of industry, of Tesla, other industries, doesn't matter, and he also makes great graphs and insights. Thank you very much for being here. It was a great Q&A session. How did you get into becoming this YouTuber and analyzing first into Tesla and then later the companies?
Yeah, I just love disruptive technologies, and nobody would listen to me and my family or friends talk about it. And I had so many ideas that I was like, I want to share these with the internet. And so that's why I started my YouTube channel.
And what did you do before? What is your background?
I went to NYU to study finance and entrepreneurship and was managing money for a private investor. And then I worked for a startup, but I got kind of sick of I had all these ideas that that I couldn't relate to anybody on, like Tesla. I was a big investor in Bitcoin, and I just felt like there was a community on the internet to do it. So I found out about Gary Vee and figured out you could just make internet videos about your passion and get a following, and so just sort of followed that playbook.
Yeah. And how long ago was that you started?
I went full-time to almost 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago.
So, of course, you're most known about Tesla. I mean, but you do a lot more. Where did the love of Tesla come about? How long ago was that?
Since 2008. I've been in love with Tesla ever since I figured out they had a good strategic plan to tackle climate change and get people to drive electric cars and create a company around it. Just been fascinated with them ever since I found that out. And that was when the Roadster was coming out in 2008. It's the first time I heard of them.
What do you drive yourself?
I drive my Atoms, which are sneakers, because I live in New York City, and I walk, which is an extremely sustainable method of transportation.
It's the best. I mean, like in Amsterdam, we do biking, but I mean, that's apart from that.
Yeah.
Very sustainable. So you don't have a car?
Nope.
No. Okay. So one thing you've learned is about how analysts and media basically cover an subject which you think you know more about, and then they basically go in totally different direction. What did that do to your brain in thinking about the media and how they cover it?
I've lost a lot of faith in the media. The more I've learned about it, the more I realize how little research they put into it, how a lot of people aren't into media for the right reasons. I think journalists have turned into advertising salesmen. They're looking for clicks. They're not looking for the truth. And I think that's a huge problem in society. But at the same time, I think people are realizing that, and that's opened up a massive opportunity. That's why I can make videos in my bedroom that get just as many hits as a Bloomberg article, because I think people realize that they're kind of bullshit. So.
And you've been very good. You've been calling out analysts for asking stupid questions. That was great. You got a lot of attention. Then you were asked on the conference call to basically ask questions. How does Tesla treat you in general? How much do they basically reach out to you?
Well, actually, Elon said they had boneheaded questions. I didn't say that, although I do think there were stupid questions. I mean, I do talk to Tesla.
No. You said there were some unbelievable, uninteresting questions, and they didn't show up at the question. You were passionately, and I was passionately too, because they were really stupid questions, and they asked 5 times the same question in the same conference call. So they're really bad in the. But anyway, Elon also said that. How does Tesla treat you?
Tesla's awesome. they're a very hard company to access. I don't talk to them that often, but they were open-minded enough to let retail investors get a voice on the call. No other company is doing that. I think that's really forward-thinking. It's a sneak peek of the future. And I think Tesla is an incredibly well-run company, super hardworking people. Some of the smartest people in the world work there. And they're receptive. Yeah, I try and leave them alone as much as possible because they're busy. So.
Okay, so you don't try to reach out and basically get information. You just use the public information.
Oh yeah, I'm all about public information, yeah. I do reach out to them to get tours, and they've let me on the tours of the Gigafactory and the Fremont facility, shout out to Martin, and those are unbelievable experiences, and they let me share them with my subscribers, who many of which are their shareholders. So I think that's a really, really cool forward-thinking thing that I think a lot of companies will start doing.
There was a line of about 150 people which I had to wait for, who basically were thanking him. Thank you very much for letting me buy Tesla stock, and basically reaching out and basically convincing me to do that. Now let's talk a little bit about further than Tesla. You are also reaching out to other companies, right? I saw your trip to China. I mean, I came just from China looking at all these companies. What was your impression there?
China is really interesting. I think they're pushing towards electric vehicles very heavily. I think they're catering to Tesla's factory. That's really smart. Yeah, I think China is going to be #2 behind the US because of Tesla in terms of developing electric vehicle technology.
And you went to visit NIO or something like that?
Yeah, I went to a couple NIO stores. I think NIO's they're an interesting company. Their sales have kind of not done as well as people had hoped, but I think in the long run, if they can survive and hang in there, they have potential.
Because, I mean, they are burning. I mean, they are burning money like there's no tomorrow. They just sold 200,000 vehicles and for $1 billion, but made $1.5 billion loss. I mean, do you think they can overcome that?
Tesla was losing a lot of money at one point too, but I don't know if they can overcome it. That's why I don't own NIO stock. And I think they have an uphill battle. They are also involved with the Chinese government, where I think that's part of their backing. And so I think they have a good shot to continue to get funding and keep trying to prove the model. So we'll see.
About your life and your channel, how does your business model work? How do you basically were able to do it independently?
I make money on YouTube AdSense, and then I have a Patreon page where people can subscribe and get a newsletter. Between that, I pay my bills, and yeah, I love it. I work full time doing YouTube.
Do you also do like speeches nowadays, or go out, or basically invest in other companies if they ask you to?
No, I don't get paid for anything else really. But
so everything I see from you, all the research you've done, you basically you're basically investing that yourself. You never get paid for companies to do that.
No, I never get paid. I've done I've done like 2 sponsored videos, and I don't like doing them. I don't like to get paid for anything. I want to be super independent, and I think the internet has allowed that business model for the first time ever, which is really exciting.
How does your day look? Well, how much time do you spend on what?
I wake up, I have coffee and a bagel, and then I think about what video I should make, and I make that video, hit the gym. Yeah.
It's nice to be independent. Then I like also the tools you do, your graphs.
Oh, yeah.
I have a subscription to the primary version of your graph, and it's a really nice way to analyze HyperCharged. How is that working? What is that? How is that working for you? Is it a startup, or is it something you do together?
Yeah, it's a startup in partnership with someone named Mo, who is a subscriber, and just basically a way to visualize complex financial statements and make them easier to understand. That's the whole point of HyperChange, is to democratize investing, help people understand how to invest, how to analyze companies, and HyperCharts is the software tool we built to sort of help them do that.
It's great. You can basically, there's a lot of companies and more are coming to the market, and it's very, very simple insight. It's really not rocket scientist, but it shows it very nicely. So do you think that you could be a software guy, that you basically could do that thing and make it at a business?
Maybe, we'll see. But I like making content.
You like making content. Have you been to, we had last month in December, 50% of the new cars in the Netherlands were electric. And we sold in Holland 10% of all the Model 3s were sold in a teeny-peeny little country. And the same as Norway. Have you ever been to Europe?
Yeah, I love Amsterdam, I love the Netherlands. Haven't been to Norway, but yeah, I think you're leading the way. I wish the US was putting out those kind of numbers.
Now that you've gone into an HyperChange sector, how much trust do you have in society that they can improve and deal with these big things like climate change and change technology for the better?
I have zero faith that anything will happen unless it's a company. Non-profits don't do anything. I think it needs to be structured as a for-profit entity, and it needs to invest in new technology. And those are the only ways to change the world, and that's why I'm so into Tesla. Elon Musk is doing more than any charity or any organization to actually move forward the climate crisis, get us on green technology. So I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah. And they showed a lot of enthusiasm for already many, many years. Do you see any other company, like outside Radian or something like that, do you see any other company like Volkswagen, which is basically following that lead, which gives you trust that this change will go on?
Everyone's copying Tesla, not because they want to, not because it's the right thing to do, but because they're being forced to. So that pisses me off. And I think Volkswagen, I have zero trust in their brand after Dieselgate. I don't know how you could buy a VW or a Porsche. I will never buy those companies. They've purposefully cheated and lied to consumers to pollute the world. I think that's disgusting, and more people should be in jail for that. And I think that Rivian is a really exciting company because they got Amazon to invest. And when Jeff Bezos is pissed and wants to beat Elon Musk, Ford doesn't matter. It's about Jeff Bezos. When he wants to compete with Elon, he's going to give it a fucking hell of a shot. And I think that's the most exciting thing about Rivian, is that it's competition.
Thanks for giving a big shout on all these subjects. I'm enjoying it, and we enjoy you all around the world, Galileo.
Yeah, thanks for having me.